In what ways does curriculum inform decisions about what to teach and how and when to teach it? Frank Abrahams at Westminster Choir College defines curriculum as the interaction of teachers and students in authentic and meaningful experiences that are acknowledged as important to both of them. And I think it's very important that acknowledged as important to both of them is the part that's often overlooked, the importance of the curriculum to the students. Often, curriculums are handed down from administrators and supervisors who have no personal interaction with the students. So the first thing you need to do when developing a curriculum, thus something that is important to both the teacher and the student, you need to look at the culture in which the students live, both in their community, in their school, and yes, in your classroom. Evaluating this culture, whether or not it's based on standardized test scores or has a heavy emphasis in aesthetic education, can give you an idea of where to start and therefore determine what to teach. If you don't agree with the culture or you think it is counter to the education you're trying to give your students, you could work on reculturing that curriculum, because enrichment and change are both important to the process. You can enrich the understanding of what a student already knows to be their culture, and perhaps you occasionally want to expose them to things that are different and maybe develop their understanding of something that is different from outside their culture. But I think when determining what to teach, it's very important that a teacher needs to not be locked in the planning on their own and needs to be open and needs to be able to understand that the students have as much, if not more, invested in what goes into their education as what the teacher has prepared. And a proper approach to developing curriculum can be something that is open and free and subject to change based on the needs of each individual student, not even the broad consensus of a classroom environment. Now, this creates some interesting conversations on how we teach. Sometimes a teacher can get an idea of what it is they want to accomplish, but the students might not be interested in accomplishing that same objective. And maybe they have an objective of what they want to accomplish in your classroom that is equally valid and educationally important, but maybe contrary to what the teacher is suggesting. For instance, in a musical classroom, teacher could be heavily focused on appropriate repertoire for the building of musical skills. Well, if your students are more interested in other kinds of repertoire, for instance, jazz or the exploration of other styles, that can just as easily communicate the same skills and musical knowledge the teacher was espousing. However, by approaching it through an understanding of the culture of the students, both in their community and in your classroom, you can more successfully achieve growth and understanding of what it is you want to cover. I think one of the more overlooked questions is when we teach certain things and when a student can be asked to develop a certain bit of information. Unfortunately, the modern American educational system grew out of an understanding of factory work and is built in such a way so as to encourage the growth of business. This develops a process in which teachers often teach a subject, review it, evaluate it or test it, and then move on to the next subject. But those of us who are teaching often understand that when you pass that evaluation phase, not every student has achieved the goals that you want. Every student is achieving at a different level. So it is important to assess the culture in which you live and realize that maybe that model isn't best for every student, that all students move on to the next subject at the same time. Perhaps developing a way in which you can allow each student to grow at their own pace and evaluate them when it's appropriate for their level of comprehension, you might produce something that is more educationally valuable for all of the students. Or maybe the method in which you are currently working is useful, but the way in which curriculum informs these decisions is about stepping back, taking a look at the situation and whether or not it is the appropriate way for every student, and not locking yourself into a dogma that is perhaps hindering some of the students in your classroom. And addressing the needs of all of those students is the responsibility of every educator. And you can use curriculum, the understanding of what is authentic and meaningful in experience for all of us, both the teachers and the students, as a way to inform those decisions about how you approach your classroom.